Ever since I was a little kid, my folks always told me, you gotta look at the world in wider perspectives. So I tried to find a way. Then I found the way. Lomography Atoll Ultra-Wide 17mm f2.8 art lens. Hey, what's up everyone? You good? This is Hyunmin Jung from HMJ Photography. Every week, I make new videos about cameras and photography in English, Japanese, and Korean. So please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. So, all the jokes aside, I really enjoy shooting with super wide lenses. I always take my Samyang 14mm when I'm shooting with my Sony a7R IV. However, my Sony a7R IV is quite big and quite heavy, so I don't always carry this camera. The camera I usually always carry with me is my Leica M6. So I wanted a super wide lens for this camera. I tried to look for a super wide lens for Leica M mount cameras, and all I could find was a lens that's way over my budget or an old Voigtlander lens that does not communicate with the rangefinder focusing system. So I looked and looked for more options and finally found this lens. Lomography Atoll Ultra-Wide 17mm f2.8 art lens. So, I got this lens about a week ago, and for 1 week, I almost exclusively used this lens for both my Leica M6 and Sony a7R IV. So far, what I have to say is, thank you Lomography for making this lens. I love it. I'm going to tell you why I love this lens so much today, but before that, I want to talk about some things that I didn't quite like about this lens. First of all, the size and the weight. Usually when I shoot with my Leica M6, I mostly paired this camera with either Leica Zoomicron 50mm or Voigtlander 35mm f2.5. And compared to those lenses, this lens is significantly bigger and heavier. Secondly, the viewfinder. When you buy this lens, it comes with this viewfinder. And I actually think it's very generous of them to do that, because sometimes the viewfinders for wide-angle lenses cost almost as much as this lens itself. However, the build quality and the general quality of this viewfinder is borderline okay. You can't really exactly see what you're gonna get, but it'll work well enough as a reference. Well, for now, I think that's it. So now I will tell you what I love about this lens. First thing I want to mention is that the lens distortion is very minimal. I wouldn't say that there isn't any, but you will not see so much extreme distortions that will make your photos look weird. And because this lens is super wide and the distortion is minimal, your photos will look almost panoramic. Secondly, the minimum focusing distance. For Leica M cameras, this lens can focus at 25 centimeters, and that's quite close. However, if you get the special adapter you can get with the lens for Canon R, Nikon Z, and Sony E mounts, you can even get closer to 10 centimeters. Well, I was mainly gonna use this lens for my Leica M6, so I didn't get the special adapter. and I regret my decision because I think having a super wide macro lens is an awesome idea. You see, usually a lot of macro lenses are around 100 millimeters. So having a 17 millimeter macro lens would open up a lot of possibilities. Thirdly, it's quite affordable. I wouldn't say this is super cheap, but when you compare this lens to other Leica M-mount lenses, I would say it's super cheap. You can get a brand new lens with a viewfinder for almost the price of brand new Voigtlander viewfinder for 14mm lenses, of course without the lens. So I personally think that if you have a Leica M-mount camera, either digital or film, I think it wouldn't hurt to own one of these lenses. It really opens up the world. Unfortunately, I do not own a digital Leica M camera, but I really think that this lens will pair very well because with live view monitor or VisoFlex, I think it will work wonderfully. Hopefully one day. Also, the build quality is very nice in my opinion. It's made of aluminum and it's a little bit heavy, but it feels very sturdy and it does not feel cheap. Again, having an affordable super wide lens for Leica M-mount cameras is truly wonderful. As a street photographer, I can think of so much possibilities and I already know that there will be so many pleasant surprises. If you haven't used a super wide lens before, I strongly suggest you do. Of course, it may not be for you, but you will have a very interesting experience. Like my folks say, see the world in wider perspectives. Thank you very much. Please like, subscribe, and share. Until next time.